Swadika, thank you for joining us on Newsline for Tuesday, July 29th of 2014. I'm Sandra Hanun Saha. At Ampon Gardens, Dusit Palace, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn received an audience. Privy Councillor Sulayut Julanon, who was designated by Their Majesties the King and Queen to bring the royal vase of flowers to congratulate His Royal Highness on his birthday. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince later offered food and bags of necessities, including saffron robes, to 10 Buddhist monks in front of the main building of Sukhothai Palace. The Crown Prince was accompanied on this occasion by Her Royal Highness the Princess Consort and Her Royal Highness Princess Pacharakitiyapha. Born on July 28th of 1952, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has carried out a great number of activities, both on behalf of His Majesty the King and on his own initiatives, to raise the welfare of Thai people and prosperity of the country. His Royal Highness had on several occasions piloted charity flights to raise funds for the purchase of medical equipment for hospitals in the 3 southernmost provinces. His Royal Highness often visited people affected by unrest in the south and has actively supported rehabilitation of people affected by natural disasters. On the same day, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince also went to Wasukri Pier, where he set free a pair of oxen and 63 birds, and then released fish and turtles, numbering 63 in each group, into the Japraya River. On this occasion, the Department of Fisheries also presented fish fry numbering 590,000 to the Crown Prince for release into the river as part of the celebrations on the royal birthday. The fish belong to native species such as the pian khao or silver barb, garai or clown knifefish, bla maw or climbing perch, and blabuk or giant catfish. In the afternoon, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, accompanied by Her Royal Highness Princess Sirat and His Royal Highness Prince Tipankon Rasami Chot, granted an audience to the committee of an education fund set up by the Crown Prince in 2009, and also the new batch of students who are recipients of the Royal Scholarships in the 2014 academic year. On this occasion, 154 students received the scholarships from the hands of the Crown Prince. The Royal Scholarships are available to 2 secondary students in every province throughout the country. The fund also covers their studies at the university level. We now move on to Thailand's segment of Thailand Moves Forward, broadcasting live on NBT and Radio Thailand FM 88. And now on to today's headlines. The National Council for Peace and Order, or NCPO, expects the names of members of the National Legislative Assembly to be royally endorsed and publicized within this week, after which the Assembly's first meeting will soon be convened. In compliance with the Provisional Constitution, which stipulates that no more than 220 persons may be appointed members of the National Legislative Assembly, the NCPO has announced its completion of a member list comprising 200 individuals, whose names are being submitted to His Majesty the King. After the royal endorsement process, the names will be made public at once, expectedly by the end of this month. Afterwards, the first meeting of the National Legislative Assembly will likely take place in early August, with a view to selecting the Speaker as well as 2 deputy speakers. Along with the name list, a newly finished draft royal decree on the selection of members of the National Reform Council will also be proposed for royal consideration. The draft law limits the number of councillors at no more than 250 persons and authorizes the Election Commission to accept suggestions of appropriate candidates. The selection process of the National Reform Council will be similar to that of the Senate. One person will be chosen from each of the 77 provinces, while the rest will comprise revered figures handpicked by the NCPO from various fields. Permanent Secretary for Defense General Suryasak Kancanarat has urged all sectors to take part in reforming Thailand, which is an important step for the future of the country. And Kun Sochun Limkringrai has the story for us.
Speaking at the opening of the seminar, Reforming Thailand and the Rise to Power in Parliament, General Suryasak said he hoped a new facet of Thai politics would be seen in the near future, which would lead to free and fair elections without vote buying. The seminar is part of a series of forums organized jointly by the Ministry of Defense and King Prachatipoks Institute from June to September 2014. The forums aim to provide all sectors of the Thai society opportunities to exchange views on guidelines for reforms and to promote public participation in politics. The Secretary-General of King Prachatipoks Institute, Professor Bawansak Uwanno, stated that the 2014 Interim Constitution, which took effect on July 22, 2014, specifies the responsibilities of 5 major organizations, namely the National Legislative Assembly, the Council of Ministers, the National Reform Council, the Constitutional Drafting Commission, and the National Council for Peace and Order. According to him, 5 points discussed at the seminar would be brought up for political reform, which include the balance of power, which involves parliamentarians, distribution of local administrative power, prevention of corruption, public participation in an appropriate manner, and relationships between political office holders and government officials. The seminar also discussed the election system, and all suggestions would be brought up at the meeting of the King Prachatipoks Institute on August the 6th to 8th, before being submitted to the National Reform Council and the Constitutional Drafting Commission. The interim constitution states that the National Reform Council consists of no more than 250 members, selected by the NCPO, from the nominations made by the selection committees. Among the members of the National Reform Council, a representative from each of Thailand's 77 provinces, nominated by provincial selection committees, will be included. This is Sochun Limkringkai reporting.
Thank you to Kun Sochun. And in other news, the Election Commission has expressed its readiness to seek individuals to fill in the National Reform Council seats. Election Commissioner Somchai Sisuthiyakon handed down the election guideline to EC officials in Chainat, stressing the importance of public participation. He said that given the current political situation in which the EC does not have to organize an election and no political parties are in action, the EC's investigative tasks would certainly become few. Mr. Somchai urged all officers to instead put greater effort into educating local people about the democratic principles. He added, however, that the provincial EC would play an important part in the selection of members of the soon-to-be-established National Reform Council. He is confident that the provincial EC units are more than capable of completing the tasks. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for National Defense for Cambodia, General Thaya Ban, arrived in Thailand on an official visit as guest of Thailand's Ministry of Defense. Defense Ministry Permanent Secretary General Suryasak Kancanarat received the Cambodian military delegates. General Thaya Ban and his entourage are visiting Thailand to strengthen military ties, discuss cooperation in tackling problems along the shared border, and foster an atmosphere conducive to the integration of countries into the ASEAN community. General Theoban's delegation also represented the Cambodian government in their visit of the Royal Thai Armed Forces headquarters. Supreme Commander Thanasak Patimaprakarn also met with the Cambodian delegates on this occasion. The Cambodian Minister of Defense will meet Army Commander-in-Chief Prayut Chan-o-cha at the Army headquarters today to discuss state affairs before leaving for Cambodia in the evening. The Royal Thai Embassy in Tel Aviv, Israel, has reported that a total of 65 Thai citizens in the country have requested to be evacuated from risky areas after fighting with Hamas broke out near the border with Gaza. Thai ambassador to Israel, Jak Bunlong, stated that since the ongoing exchange of artillery fire between Israel and Hamas began, the embassy has notified Thai workers in the war zone that coordination can be made with their employers to allow them to take leave from work or be temporarily transferred to another workplace in a safer location. As the situation has become more violent and critical, the Thai ambassador pointed out that the number of Thais in need of help is growing. So far, 65 people have expressed their wish to be relocated elsewhere. 7 of them have returned to Thailand and 13 have been moved to safer places in Israel. Relocation efforts for another 30 workers are also currently underway. The body of the Thai worker killed by shrapnel from a mortar shell launched by Hamas in Gaza has arrived in Thailand. Narakon Kittiyankun's body arrived at Suvarnabhumi Airport and is now being transported to his native province of Nan. The body is being accompanied by consular personnel in a bid to offer assistance and compensation to his family. The Foreign Affairs and Labor Ministry are shouldering the costs of transportation and funeral rites for Mr. Narakon's family. International efforts have been intensified to end the 3-week war between Israel and Hamas. Hamas has announced a 24-hour ceasefire after Israel ended its own truce amid continuing rocket fire from Gaza. Military officials have been traveling to Samut Sakhon province to create better understanding among migrant workers while trying to have all illegal migrants documented before the registration period draws to a close. Authorities also asked the migrants to spread the word, telling their fellow migrants to apply for legal status. And Kun Niranut Traijakwanit has more for us.
The military has visited a furniture manufacturer and a canned tuna manufacturer in Samut Sakhon province. It was not the first visit by military authorities who are trying to create better understanding with both the employers and the employees regarding the migrant registration process. The move automatically ended the role and the influence of local mafias who used to take advantage of the illegal status of migrant laborers. Illegal migrants would be forced to pay tolls if they wanted to work in the area.
ตัวแรงงานเองนะฮะต้องไม่ไปหลงเชื่อนะฮะในหน้าหรือว่ากลุ่มกระบวนการผู้มีอิทธิพลว่าจะคุ้มครองให้กับตัวเองได้นะฮะ2ผู้ประกอบการเองนะต้องไม่สนับสนุนนะเมื่อพบเห็นมีสิ่งต่างๆเหล่านี้ขึ้นมาแล้วต้องไม่สนับสนุนให้มีการกระทำนี้ขึ้นนะภาครัฐเองโดยเจ้าหน้าที่นะก็ต้องไม่รู้เห็นเป็นใจนะฮะในการที่ให้กระทำสิ่งนี้เกิดขึ้นนะครับถ้า3สิ่งนี้นะร่วมมือกันทำไปได้ดีเนี่ยมาเฟียไม่มีแล้วครับ
Although communication between Thai authorities and migrant workers had to be done through translator, these migrants clearly understood the message being sent and the intention of the authorities. They were also asked to spread the word among their fellow migrants.
คนที่ไม่มีอะไรเลยเนี่ยอยู่ลำบากไปไหนมาไหนลำบากครับถ้าทำขึ้นมาให้แบบนี้ก็เสียค่าใช้จ่ายก็น้อยใช่ไหมฮะก็ดีใจมากๆเลยครับคนที่ไม่มีอะไรเพื่อพวกผมก็มีถูกต้องอยู่แล้วแต่คนที่ไม่มีอะไรทำขึ้นมาให้แบบนี้ดีมากเลยครับ
More than half of the employees working at the two manufacturers are migrants, and because of that, They are the driving force in furniture and canned tuna productions. These migrants are well taken care of by their employers. In the meantime, the employers said that they were willing to comply with the policy to have all migrant workers registered.
ก็ได้ถูกต้องแล้วก็เป็นระเบียบมากขึ้นเพราะว่าแรงงานต่างด้าวที่ไม่ได้ขึ้นทะเบียนเนี่ยนะครับก็จะเป็นสิ่งที่ถูกต้องกับประเทศไทยในการบริหารงานของบริษัทอินเด็กเองเนี่ยกับแรงงานต่างด้าวก็ถือว่าช่วงต้นๆก็มีปัญหาเล็กน้อยแต่ระยะหลังเนี่ยเราก็มีการปรับแล้วก็เข้ากับคนไทยได้ดีครับ
Employers are taking their alien workers, Burmese, Cambodian, and Lao to the province's registration center, also known as One-Stop Service Center, to have them apply for legal status. At present, more than 40,000 migrants have already been documented. Samut Sakhon's Migrant Registration Center will be open until July 30th, 2014. Niranut Traijakwanit reporting.
Thank you to Kunilul for that report. And Yala officials have tightened security at Yala's immigration checkpoint during the Hari Raya. At the moment, many Thai workers are traveling back from neighboring Malaysia to the southern provinces where they are from. Southern insurgents may disguise themselves as workers too. Therefore, the immigration police have had to tighten their security of the area. The relevant officials have reiterated the need to check each person traveling back and forth with computer systems. A deteriorating CCTV will be replaced. Additional checkpoints will be set at the 23rd kilometer of Yala Betong Road, along with the old one at kilometer 3. Also, officials will exercise more frequent patrols in Betong district. The Department of International Trade Promotion, or DITP, Ministry of Commerce, has reported an increase of 3.9% in exports in June 2014, with a total value of $19.8 billion US. According to DITP Director General Nantawan Sukuntanak, Thailand's exports in June were worth $19.8 billion, rising 3.9% from the same month of last year. Imports were valued at $18 billion, a drop of 14%, allowing the country to enjoy a trade surplus of $1.8 billion. The improvement is believed to have resulted from a jump of 2.6% in agricultural exports and 3.9% in industrial exports during the month. Over the first 6 months of 2014, the export value accumulated to $112.7 billion, decreasing 0.35%, while the value of imports also decreased 14% to stand at $112.47 billion. Thailand, therefore, had a 6-month trade surplus of $237 million. The Ministry of Commerce has estimated that the annual export growth will be able to reach 3.5% on the condition that the country secures an export earning of at least $20.6 billion every month from now until year's end. And that is the end of today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. Before we take a quick break, here's a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices. Welcome back. You're watching Newsline, and we turn to news from around the world. 3 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike on Monday in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned earlier yesterday of a protracted war in Gaza, dashing any hopes of a swift end to the 3-week conflict as Palestinian fighters launched an audacious cross-border raid. Inside Gaza itself, 8 children and 2 adults were killed by a blast in a park as an unofficial truce sought by the United Nations for the Muslim Eid al-Fitr festival collapsed. Residents blamed the explosion on an airstrike, but Israel said a misfiring militant rocket caused the carnage. The United Nations World Health Organization, or WHO, is on the hunt for anyone who had close contact with a man who died of Ebola in the Nigerian city of Lagos, the first recorded case of the highly infectious disease in Africa's most populous country. Lagos shut down and quarantined yesterday a hospital where Patrick Sawyer, a consultant for the Liberian Finance Ministry aged in his 40s, died. He had collapsed on arrival at Lagos Airport on July 20th and was put in isolation at the First Consultants Hospital in Oberland, one of the most crowded parts of the city that is home to 21 million people, and he died on Friday. The Centre on Global Health Security at London's Chatham House said every person who had been on the plane to Lagos with Sawyer would need to be traced and told to monitor their temperature twice a day for 21 days. And President Nicolas Maduro addressed the crowd in a commemorative ceremony marking what would have been the late Venezuelan president's 60th birthday. Maduro, together with Chavez family members in the late president's home state, Barinas, surrounded a large birthday cake while singing happy birthday to the deceased leader. Some supporters wiped away tears during the event. Over the weekend, Venezuela's ruling Socialist Party held a first Congress without Chavez, who died from cancer last year, naming him their eternal leader, while also voting Maduro as new party president. And that's all we have for you in today's edition of Newsline. If you have any comments or suggestions, do email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook by simply typing in NNT, and you can check out our website at thainews.prd.go.th/newsing. We're going to say goodbye with a pet bus in China. The new bus service gives pooches an opportunity to run around pet-friendly parks. Have a good day. I'm Sandra Han Utsaha. สวัสดีค่ะ